Hi, I want to share with you the 3 things I would have done differently when I first started playing the bass. But really, I think you can apply these to any musical instrument, probably anything. My number one thing was pretty simple. It was technique. I spent all my time focused on technique. I thought it was the most important thing. When I realized later on that just picking up the instrument is the important thing. If you're new to the instrument, if you're new to music in general, just having it in your hands, playing it. Technique is important. I'm not saying that, and it will come. When you're first starting out, it's just about getting familiar with it. I think you see all over the internet, people play instruments not necessarily classically. Some of that's for views, some of that's because that's how they've always played it. So don't beat yourself up. It would actually force me to not want to practice because all I was focused on was having proper technique as opposed to just producing music, playing it in any way that it felt comfortable so that music would come out. So that's number one. Number two is the instrument itself. Believing that because I had a very cheap bass, I think I got a bundle package, like the bass and the amp for 200 or 250. For some reason, I thought the bass itself was not good, and I let that mess with my mentality. When reality is, you always want the bass to not be good, or the instrument to not be good when you first start out, because if you can make a bad bass sound good or a bad instrument sound good, you're going to make a great instrument sound amazing. Don't worry about what gear, what rig, anything when you first start out. It's not that important. What is important is that you are practicing and that you are falling in love with this instrument and learning how to play it and making a bad instrument sound good, because then a great instrument will sound amazing. Number three would be focusing on a single bass player, right? So picking somebody that you try to emulate. I grew up in the 90s and I loved Flea. I loved everything he did. I think he's an amazing bass player. He doesn't get enough credit online, but the reality is that Flea is a great bass player. And so when I first started, everything was about fast slapping and just really emulating Flea's sound and his style. And that didn't do me well when it came to guys like Victor Wooten or Jacko, right? It didn't give me the well-rounded experience that I should have been really tapping into early on in my career. I would select 3 to 5 different bass players and try and find a sound that's in between all of those, and that'll probably be your sound that you move forward with in your career. So to summarize the 3 things I would do differently, we'll call it even part 1 because I feel like there's a lot more to be talked about. Number 1, don't focus too much on technique. Really focus on learning your instrument, putting in just the hours of playing it. Practice slapping, practice finger. Don't worry so much about having perfect technique. Understand the instrument before you worry about technique as much. 2, don't worry about what kind of brand instrument you have. Don't worry about the quality of it right now. And number 3 for me is making sure that you don't focus solely on one artist, right? Don't focus on one bass player, focus on 3 to 5. Hopefully all of them with a little bit different style. Thank you as always for tuning in. Hopefully this helped, and if it did, please subscribe. Leave a comment on anything else you'd like to learn about or understand. From my opinion, of course. There's a lot of different opinions, I'm sure, but these are mine, and I appreciate your time.